Thank you for joining us. We are changing up the business construction, talk about a lot of different things. We're not just going to talk about the technical elements, although today we are going to get into a few that are very important and pressing. If throughout any week or day you experience something that you think would be good for everyone else to experience, reach out, pass along. You can even do some training within the BOC yourself and/or communicate with me, and I can take the lead on it. So our goal here is to share experiences as we have them. Our ingredients for success, and I say ingredients, not necessarily values. Values are what they are, but when you mix these together, you're going to get good results. And that's really what we're trying to do, accomplish good results. So our values stay the same. And I changed the description for each one to say that if you really think about what they mean, it means that we care. When it comes down to it, we care. When you think about someone that throws garbage on the sidewalk or leaves a toilet with the goods still in it without flushing, all those little things we do to say we don't care. Well, these values are taking us down the path to say we do care. And they're little things, little details, and we all know what they are, and we all kind of have them in our mind, whether we care or not. How we present our car is a good example. How we present ourselves, all examples that we care. And so when you talk about respond, resourceful, respect, and reliability, it shows that we care. This is the progress principle. This has been changed a little bit just so everybody can I'm trying to get a better picture or explain it better. So when we think about vision, we think about where we're going. And so you take this example and you say, we got this big idea. We want to go way out here. And even when we get there, there's probably a mountain beyond that mountain that goes way out past that. But our next vision says we want to do so much in revenue and we want to hire so many people. Okay, that's great. And then you say, look where we are. And here's where we are. And we're at this moment, and our focus happens to be where we are right now. We don't need to focus way out to the top of the mountain. We don't need to look back. But it's important that we look back every once in a while just to say, look how far we've come. Think about this in your own personal life. Think about this in business. Yeah. Think about this in business. Think about this in personal life. It's oftentimes we get hung up in the current struggles and challenges that we're facing, and we don't think about how far we've come. As an organization, we've come a long way. Now, this thing is not to scale, but we've come a long way, and we've got a long way to go. But that's okay. That's what makes it fun. If our end vision was to make it another 100 feet or to grow the company from 30 million to 32 million, we would not be creating a lot of opportunity for anybody on this call. So the progress principle, think about that. Just getting a little better every day, some way, some capacity. Do those little things that are going to make you a little bit better so that when you look back 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, and you say, I can't believe how far I've come. Success factors. I heard this the other day, and I thought I wanted to show it and talk about a little bit in that we always talk about strategy. We talk about our vision. We talk about our values. We talk about all these technical things about our business. And something that occurred to me, and I do a lot of reading. I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of videos from leadership people. And this comment was made that really about 5% of our accomplishments come from the strategy itself. 95% from mindset. Why is 95% to 5? And I know it's a kind of a hard to believe, but why do you think mindset is 95 and strategy is 5?
Because if you go in with a bad attitude or bad mindset or thinking you're already going to fail, then you probably will. But if you go in there with a positive attitude that we can overcome everything and get this done, then you stand a better chance of having success.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Brendan. And the idea is that our mindset is going to determine our desire and ability to put the strategy into place. Best strategy in the world. But if you walk in with a negative mindset, as Brendan said, or you believe it'll fail, or you hit that first roadblock and immediately start falling back or scaling back or retreating, you're not going to make it. That's why mindset is so important. The mindset we take in every single thing we do, personal, private, family, community, business, whatever it is, the mindset we take in is going to really determine how well we perform on our strategy. And if you have a really good mindset, a growth mindset, one that says, I want to keep getting better and progressing or progressing, if you take that into every situation, your strategy becomes better just by that sheer fact. You don't even have to have a good strategy. The strategy will get better because you're getting better. The STG Focus, STG family of companies, and the us. I combine the two words. It's focus. I look at words differently and numbers and letters, and I'm always studying what's the similarities. But focus popped out at me and it said, here's what we need to focus on. The family of companies, we need to focus on these things. And so when you think about the three things that drive a business, and I've used SPA. What does SPA stand for?
Sales team, project managers, accounting team.
Yeah, sales team, project team, and then accounting. So you think about SPA, that's how we run our business. We go get work, we manage the work, we account for the work. So sales, project, and accounting, very similar in concept. What I'm saying here is we got to get the work. We got to make sure the work is ran successfully and profitably. And then we got to go collect on that and make sure that our data is good. That's what the accounting team does. So you take this same concept and you say, we got salespeople out there who focus on sales. We got a project team that focuses on handling that once we have the project, it's in our hands. We got to make sure it turns profitable. Give me the best short definition of profit. You spend less, you have less expenses than the customer's paying you to perform the project. So your total expenses are less than what we received for doing the work. That's what profit is, which means they valued what we did more than it cost us to do it. Think about that. They valued what we did more than it cost us to do it. That's profit margin. So when a profit margin is really low, what does that say about the customer's value of our service? Or could say they don't really value the service. They're not willing to pay a lot for it. If I had a t-shirt here and I said I could sell this t-shirt for $100, would you feel like that's a good deal? You don't care that it cost me $98 to make it, or if it cost me $1 to make it. You just know $100 is not a good price for a t-shirt. If I came to you and said I got this t-shirt brand new, you're gonna love it, it's $5, you might say, okay, I'll buy that. You don't care that it cost me $8 to make it or $1 to make it. You don't care. The value it created for you is all you care about. That's what we have to think about when we're dealing with our customers. What value are we creating for them? That's profit. Profit is based on value. If I say I'm going to put in this service for $2,000 and somebody else says I'm going to put the exact same service in for $1,000, which one is more valuable to the customer? Same service, the $1,000 service. It's more valuable to them, not more valuable to the contractor. He made a mistake on his numbers. He should have been 2,000, but he told him 1,000. But the customer got a great deal. Got a brand new service for $1,000. So understanding what profit really means and the fact that we as a business need to continue to do that. We need to generate profit. We need to generate value to our customers so that they're going to pay us more than it costs us to make it. SDG objectives are to create opportunities. That's why we have the vision. If you were a young person working for this company and saying, I have goals to do so much more and make more money and do so much more for my family and grow within your organization, and I told you our vision is to shrink this down to $10 million a year, would that inspire you or demotivate you? Demotivate. Yeah. The vision is to put out there to say, you have opportunities to grow. If you want to do more in this company, we're going to create them. That doesn't mean we're going to hand them to you, but we're going to create them. You then have the chance to earn them. Great experiences. Going back to value. Disney World is one of my favorite places to go. If you didn't know. If I've never talked about it before, I'll mention it again. I do enjoy Disney World. For all the different reasons, maybe we all have our different places we like to go. I like to go to Disney World. You know that the Disney World is the most traveled amusement park in the world. Did you also know that it doesn't have a single ride on the top 50 roller coasters in the country? What people think of when you think of amusement park. Not a single one makes the list. So here's the park that has 0 of the best roller coasters, yet the most people go there. Why do they go there?
Experience.
A great customer experience.
That's marketing.
Very good. All right. Marketing. That's right. It's just good marketing. They have a terrible place, but their marketing is great. All right. Okay. Great experience. Unique services. That's the other thing. We want to provide unique things. Things, again, goes back to the value, the profitability. Someone's willing to pay more. If we bid on something and 12 other electrical contractors bid on it, not very unique. It's basically saying anybody can do it. If we go bid on a job and nobody else bids on it, that's unique. Odds are they're going to have to use us. No one else is looking at it. So we want to find those things that are more challenging. When we get a challenging project, we want to say, yep, that's the one we want. That's the one we want to help with because they're going to value it more. And I talked about getting better, progress, just a little bit better every single day. And we, as a company, we used to say, well, we want to get bigger, we're going to get bigger. We didn't even say we want to get bigger. We just want to get better. And if we get better, the customers are going to make us bigger. Working on you. You've seen this before. What does it mean? Anybody?
5 to 9.
Yeah. New representation on 5 to 9.
So it's the 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
And then what you do from 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. or whatever, or 8 a.m. Your non-working time to get yourself better.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just shown a little differently. You're thinking, Heather, Kurt, thank you for your observations. 40 hours is our typical work week. That's what we say. We work 40 hours. 128 hours, we are not working. In theory, this is just theory. Some of you work less, some of you work more, just depends on the situation. That means for every 1 hour you're at quote unquote work, 3.2 hours you're not. What are you doing with those other 3.2 hours or 128 hours every week? That's the question. And I'm not challenging you. I'm just saying that's the question. You got to reflect on that. What am I doing? How am I using that time? Because everybody's so busy nowadays. I always hear this, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. But are you busy doing the right things? That's the question. When you go home, you got time with your family. You've got spiritual time, sleep, time to eat, time to exercise, time to drive, time to get to places, time to go shop, all these different things you have to invest your time into. Where's the best investment of your time according to your goals? That's the key. If you have no goals, then you're doing fine. If you have no aspirations to move up in the company or make more money or do anything else, that's fine. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you have goals and you have an aspirations to do more, then you're probably going to want to say, how am I using that other 128 hours to get to where I want to go? Brian Tracy, who I'm a big fan of, and he's real simplistic, has a pretty boring backstory. Just decided one day he wanted to become a public speaker. After being a laborer for so long, he became a salesman, and he said, I just want to become a speaker. And he has some really good insights. And one of the things he said, that the thing that made him wealthy, he's very wealthy, the thing that made him wealthy is he put on a program. He'd have people pay him $500 to come to an event. And at the event, he'd hand them a spiral notebook and he would say, okay, while you're sitting here, I want you to write your top 10 goals, 10 most important things you want to accomplish in your lifetime. Then go down that list, pick the one that's the most important thing, the one that'll have the biggest impact on your life. And on the next page, I want you to write 20 things you have to do to accomplish that goal. And it's really hard to do. If you've ever tried this practice, it's hard to come up with 10 goals for some of us. Some of it's pretty easy, depending on where you're at in life. And then 20 things that you can do specific to that goal. Challenging. He said, but if you do it, I guarantee you, if you just take those 20 items and every day work on one of them, you're going to get to that goal. And he said, okay, class is over. And they went nuts. Are you kidding me? We paid $500 for a spiral notebook. He said, I'm telling you what, you do this thing for 1 year. And if you don't double your income, I'll give you your money back. He did it for 20 years now. He's been doing it, 30 years, I think it is. Never once has he given anybody their money back. Wow. So simple thing like that. So simple. He's just saying, just write them down. And his goal, his suggestion is you write them down every single day. You go through that practice of writing it down. Why is it good to write things down? You remember.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at everybody in this room right now who's writing things down and saying, very good. You're remembering, aren't you, Brendan?
I am.
He is. Yep. So working on you. When you work on you, and I say this for you, I don't say this for me. SDG benefits, great. But really, who benefits? You. No one's going to benefit more from you working on you than you. Dead money. So there's a great parable about a young boy who decides he wants to buy this mule. This is years ago. He wants to buy a mule to help him do some work. And the guy, he buys the mule. The guy's going to bring it to the house. The guy brings it to his house. And when he shows up to unload the mule is dead. The boy says, that's okay. Just give me my money back. Pay $200 for the mule. Just give my money back and I'll be fine. And the guy says, I'm not giving your money back. Here's your mule. So the boy thinks about this. He just gave his last $200 to this guy to buy a dead mule. What's he going to do? He comes up with a plan. He creates a raffle. For $2, you can buy a raffle ticket for a mule. He goes out and sells 500 tickets, makes $1,000 in money on this raffle. He pulls the winner. The guy comes to collect on the mule. The mule's dead. He gives him his $2 back.
$198 profit.
Yes, he made $798 on a dead mule. The parable of the story is that sometimes we are delivered a dead mule, which is a bad project. Not all projects are going to be good. There are things that are going to happen when you get on that job site that we don't know about, that we don't know is going to happen. Are you going to take the dead mule and bury it, or can you turn it into something prosperous? That's the challenge. One of my first projects I ever ran, one of the projects that really helped me change from being fired, literally being cut loose from the company, to becoming a mainstay for a long time and eventually president and COO of the company, was taking on what was inevitably going to be a really bad project. I was given a dead mule. Nobody wanted to run the job. I'll give you some quick numbers. We were at 880,000. The next lowest bid was 1.2 million, and we took on the job. We shouldn't have. Anybody that was associated to it decided they no longer wanted to be a part of it. I volunteered to run this job because I was going to be fired anyway, due to a lack of value for the company. I was in a different state of mind back in those days. So I took on this project with the idea that this was it. It was going to be either A, I turn this job around, or B, I'm not working here. And that was pretty likely anyway. So I took on this challenge, and I would say it's probably the best job I've ever ran that lost money. It lost $14,000 at the end of the job because I watched every single thing we bought. I paid attention to every single thing that changed on the drawings and watched this thing to a T and collected on so many change orders and schedules and delay claims. I learned so much about project management by taking on a job that was a dead mule. So when you get that opportunity, don't run from it. Use it as an opportunity to learn. And also when you get sometimes we get those good jobs, jobs where we go in saying, hey, we're gonna make 40% of this thing. What do we typically do when we know we're gonna make 40% on a job?
Give it the same attention.
We don't give it the same attention. We let it kind of run itself. We put it on cruise control, go in the back seat and take a nap. Those are the ones that don't make as good of money. So putting a little extra effort into that quote unquote, that potential dead mule is where we can make some real good money. Describing change. So we had a situation recently in which there was a lot of things changing on a customer on a project. And the customer was in some ways acknowledging the change, at the same time didn't feel comfortable with the amount of money that was being requested because they didn't understand the change. And so we had a good conversation with them. We got everything kind of turned back around and got it back on the right track. And there's a lot of insight to the story that comes from different angles. But we got some feedback in that call, though, that I thought was very valuable that I wanted to share with everybody, just in general about change orders. One thing is they don't like the word change order. They said when a contractor's out on the job site and something changes, they just want to hear change. Nope, this is a slight change. Let me take a look at this, see what we can do. He said change is okay because change doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation. But he said when you throw change order into that mix, it automatically sends like tingles down their spine. Not good tingles. They get mad or they get angry. They automatically assume, oh boy, here they come. So just that slight change in how we talk about it. Oh, yep, this looks like we're changing the scope a little bit here. Let me take a look at that. I'll get back to you. Versus this is a change order. That one single word he said bothered him. Other thing, suggestion, offer substitutions. So it doesn't always have to, and this goes back to his point about change order. It doesn't have to be necessarily a plus or a minus. It's a change to the job. But also, I'll tell you what, because I know this is probably going to cost a little bit more, if we did this, this, and this, we could probably save you some money. And in the end, no additional cost to the customer. So look for those substitutions, that value engineering. We automatically assume, and we have to, when we're doing a takeoff, that when the engineer draws something, this is what they really want. But 9 times out of 10, when they draw something on the drawings, it's probably what? Copy paste, right? The engineers are also under tight scrutiny. And so they're going from old drawings saying, yep, throw the detail on for that, throw detail on for that. The job doesn't need those things, but the engineer's covering himself. He's saying, I'm just going to cover myself. I'm going to give him the best possible trench scenario, the best possible pole base. We're talking about a job today. It was 20-foot pole base with a 9'6" deep pole base on a 20-foot pole. Not necessary, right? But that's probably a cut and paste. And so we give him a 9'6", and the customer's paying for this. Sometimes those are situations where once we get the job, if we get it, we can say, you don't need a 9'6" pole base unless we're putting this in sand. There's no reason to do this. So coming up with substitutions, another great way of bringing them down off that change order. Also, again, suggestions and alternate solutions. And then here's the thing about just change orders in general. They're actually literally jobs. Some of these are big. You might have a change order that's $40, $50, $100, $180,000. We want to make sure we're reviewing these just like we would have bid. There's nothing we do that's more polarizing than submitting a change order. And what do I mean by polarizing?
Switch how the customer views you.
Yeah, changing how the customer views you instantly, good or bad. You can go from loving you to hating you in one change order. That doesn't mean we have to give them anything for free, but it has to be very careful in delivery and understanding the timing and knowing the situation. It's really unique. There are great opportunities to make money. There are also great opportunities to kill a client relationship. So we just have to understand the difference there. Sometimes, and it's not even about money. I'm talking like sometimes an $800 change order kills a relationship. Because they're thinking to themselves, wait a minute, this is a $5 million job. Do you really have to give me this $800 change order? You move the receptacle over 6 inches. Is it really that much money? So it goes back to, again, value perception. So anytime we get a change order of any size, I would say review it with a peer. Just go through it, make sure that all the numbers look right, just like you're treating a job, because it's very important. We talk about client relations and building those relationships. The change orders are important, how we address them, how we quote them. Anything over $10,000, I'd love to sit down and go over it with you. Again, just to talk strategy, make sure we're on the right path, understand the situation, so we don't take a chance of losing the customer. And I said have empathy. It doesn't mean we have to give it away. It just means understand the situation. Empathy doesn't mean kindness or gratitude or generosity. It just means understand the situation. Sometimes you might have to give a little to get a little in the future. They might have a situation they're dealing with. Sometimes we can take those games. Let's have that conversation with myself, Jake, Jimmy, Mike, anybody. Just have that conversation. Here's the situation we got with this customer. I know they're struggling. Maybe we can do something on this one, and then maybe leverage that to the next project. Okay. So something that we are getting into is strategy. And I mentioned strategy earlier, and I opened up with saying we have to have a good what before we have a good strategy? Mindset. Yeah. We have to have a good mindset before we start establishing a good strategy, because without the mindset, strategy won't work. But eventually we do have to have a strategy. We have to think about where we want to go, what we want to do, and how we're going to get there. And that's what the strategy does. Strategy fills in those, okay, yeah, your vision's this, how are you going to get there? And we're going to lay out those steps. That's what a strategy does. And there was a book written by a guy that used to work right down the street here in Akron, and he worked at the tire plant, Goodyear, and he wrote it called The Winning Link. And what his job was is go around to all the different factories and take care of the ones that were not doing well. And when he went into a factory, the thing he came up with, the idea or the strategy that he had was he went into every factory and he said, they set a goal at the very top. And then they set micro goals down all the way down to the people making the tires, all the way down to the floor, that were not the same. We don't go to a guy in the field and say, we need to make $100 million in revenue. What does that mean?
Show up to work.
What's that?
Show up to work.
Yeah. It means nothing. Okay, that's good for you. I don't even know what $100 million means.
Looks like.
Don't even know what it looks like, right? That's what we set a goal for ourselves. We said the company wants to do 100 million. We have a lot of different reasons for that. We want to grow 500 people. We can sell 500 people working for us. So they're going to say, okay, what do you want me to do about it? But if we said, and take it all the way down to that level, we just need you to show up every day on time and be ready to work. That's your goal. That's something he can achieve. That's something he's in control of. And if you work your way up there and you say, okay, now as a project manager, you need to run so much work, because we have 10 project managers and each project manager is running $10 million. And these are examples. And if we say, okay, if we need $100 million and we need 10 project managers running 10 projects at $10 million a piece, and we need the estimating and sales team to land $110 million worth of work. And that's divided up by 10 people. So they each have to get $11 million. So you work your way up. So each person has a goal or a plan or a task within the overall task. And that's what we're going to work on accomplishing. It's about setting those numbers, establishing that metric for you to know, are you doing good? If you were playing baseball and they didn't keep the score of the game and they didn't tell you how you were doing, how motivated would you be every game after time to come out there on that field? You lose motivation. You don't even know if you're winning. That's why we have report cards in school. That's why we keep score in sports and stats. We just want to know how we're doing. Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? That's what we're going to establish. We're going to establish numbers that are going to help us know if we're doing good or not, all the way down to the men and women in the field. All right, so let's do a little thinker size. What I want you to do is think of a goal for blank, which, if accomplished, would likely mean success. So you're going to write down 3 goals. One, do you think for the company? And now it's nothing to do with future revenue, number of team members, or services. So I want you to think of something different. What's a goal for the company in which, if accomplished, would likely mean success for a company, for you, and specifically for our field team, because most of you are connected in some way to the field. Okay, no wrong answer here. That could be a wrong answer, but there's no real wrong answer. What we're saying is throw out anything that you feel would be a good goal for the company that, if accomplished, highly likelihood for success. Let's start it off with Kurt Westover.
For me, I pick up a little bit more technical background.
Okay, so for you, it would be technical background. So take a class or learn more. And one of the things that Kurt's doing, for those that don't know, he's actually taking time to go out and work a day in the field. Great idea, great way to learn, hands-on. Not a lot of great training programs. I've heard people say, well, why don't we send our project managers to apprenticeship school for 4 years? Not going to accomplish what we're looking for it to do. Get out on the job site and work alongside the guys for a full day or two every once in a while. You're going to learn a lot more quicker, I should say. Okay. All right. How about one for, well, you can tell me company, you or the field. Let's go to Mike Marone.
0 safety incidents.
0 safety instances for the company, so that everyone goes home safe every single day. The most important thing that we need to accomplish as a company. We can be having great relationships and jobs are getting done on time, but if people are getting hurt, we're no good. Okay, let's go back to the room. Mr. Shaw.
For the company, specifically in service, something I think would make a big difference is getting more 5-star reviews. Has that many people thrilled with what we do, be willing to
So set a goal, because I liked what you're saying, but more is not enough, and more is not a good number.
100 for the year.
100 for the year. I like that. That's a good goal. 100 5-star reviews. That's a good goal. You think about, and that's what I like about that one, is because what he's saying is if you do that, if you're getting 100 5-star reviews, there's a real good chance we're doing some good things. One, we serviced 100 customers. That's a good sign. 2, they all loved our work. 3, probably going to lead to more work. Okay, back to the call board. Grant Tellez.
For me, it would be a goal is to have a better understanding of civil and electrical. So having that knowledge.
Okay, similar to what Kurt said, more technical knowledge from civil, and a good way to do that, again, get out there and be a part of it. A very valuable experience to be out in the field for a day. Thank you, Grant. Tim Nalbaugh.
I had one down for the company, and that is to expand in one different location than where we are right now.
Okay, so expand to a different location, which is actually one of our goals, so that's good. All right, back to the board. Greg Schrock.
I like the added at the end there. For me to have, well, for the company, which ultimately helps out the field and me, to have more equipment, proper equipment for the crews to go out and get the jobs done, and reduces the amount of renting of equipment.
Okay, so what we need in that case is a specific list. So some of the things that you think would help that we are renting repeatedly that are actually holding us back from being effective. Also, I mean, for renting it, we're probably paying a premium for it. So what are those things that would help us do that? And that's an ongoing observation. I know, Mike, early on in the AUS days, we had to buy a bunch of equipment and rent some. And then over time, we said, okay, well, let's quit renting this thing, because if we use it 6 times, it pays for itself. So understanding how does it pay for itself? That's a good example, and we need that list. Okay, let's go back into the room. Roy.
Field team. Field team is what makes the office. The field is what makes us money. Providing the field with information, the tools, and the knowledge that they need to be more productive in the field would be better for us in the long run. If they don't have what they need to do their goals, then our goals as well are not fulfilled.
Okay. How do you measure that? Because I agree with you. That's one of our philosophies. Give them time. Tools, information, control, and equipment. Got to give them time. How do you measure it? How do you know if you're doing it?
It's a little bit harder for me just because of knowledge and time that I've spent in the field. Guys who don't have as much experience don't know the priorities in which to do a job.
Okay.
If they know what the priorities, the steps, the procedures, they'll be more effective long term.
Okay. I agree with that. Don Bott, you're off of mute. What do you got?
Who I am. Health, my health, losing weight, increasing my mobility means I'll be able to get out more, get around, feel better, talk to people better.
Good. Do you have any goals you want to declare, and we'll all hold you accountable to them?
Sure. Lose 30 pounds and be able to walk at 3 miles an hour instead of 2 miles an hour.
All right. 30 pounds and 3 miles an hour. All right. What date? Give us a date.
This time next year.
Oh, come on. You can do better than that. How about December 15th?
Okay.
All right. 12:15. We're going to all reach out and say, Don, how'd it go?
Radar gun in the parking lot.
What's that?
With a radar gun in the parking lot.
Of a radar gun in the parking lot. Walk by us, Don.
Mike Varone, we're gonna need a radar gun purchase, please.
That's that equipment that Greg was asking for. Okay. Next on the list, go back to the room. We'll go to Ryan.
For the company, more or less for like the service, just learning more responsibilities of each other's jobs, maybe like with Bridget being out, somebody could help her with invoicing, things like that. You know, if I'm out, just stepping in for each other, learning each other's roles.
Okay. Fortunately for you, Gina is going to do a meeting with you, a strategic meeting with the service team to help everyone lay out roles and responsibilities and then create those backups. So that is going to happen. And we'll set a goal for Gina and a date. Okay. She doesn't know that yet.
I just wrote.
Oh, she does know. Now she knows. It's official. All right. I'm kidding. I know she was on the call. Okay. How about back to the call? Annette.
I believe that knowing the job that the field people, that they know their jobs and see if there's enough people for the jobs that we have, and to make sure that the scope of work is completely understood, and to shop for material costs.
Okay. Yep. We are definitely putting more focus on our kickoff meetings, our handoff meetings, to make sure that that information is being well transferred from the individuals that got it to the people that are going to do it. That's a real good goal, and we should shoot to have that on every single project. I think that's very important. The hours spent transferring that knowledge could save 20, 30, 40, hundreds of hours on job sites. Okay, back in the room, Brandon.
I guess this would relate to me and the field team, but just beat your man hours. Mainly goes to the field team because they're doing the work, but I mean, ultimately we come up with it.
Yeah. So we've recognized that goal has worked out well for the field. And for those that haven't heard the story before, for years and years and years, every job we did went way over on man hours, every single one. I don't think there was a job that we beat the man hours on that I can recall. We decided we're going to roll out this idea where we're going to tell the guys in the field, we're going to give you the man hours up front. And if you beat the man hours, we're going to share that margin with you. We're going to split the difference and we're going to share it with you and your team. And all of a sudden we started beating the hours on almost all the jobs. So just having that goal and that statement alone should lead us down this path to say, this is something we must continue. Them having a goal changed the outcome on almost every project. That's very important. Having a goal will change the outcome. Not having a goal, then we just do what we've always done. So setting a goal, being the man hours, really good, easy one to measure, easy one for them to see, no strings attached. Here it is. Boom. Okay, very good. Back to the board. Dan Entler.
I did for the company to increase the margins on some of this matrix direct award work by additional 5 to 10% from projected margins.
That's
'Cause
another.
they're setting they're setting the price for us, and they keep taking from us. So we're looking at creative ways to bring a consistent 5 to 10% back.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. And Dan and Mike and George have brought the philosophy of building things off site to not only get the job started, but kind of help beat the man hours in a controlled environment. That kind of stuff helps create that efficiency. What can we do up front to help save time and money on the backside? Real good thought. And it's very easily to measure, see how we're doing on what we expected we're going to do, and then how do we actually do. Back to the board or back to the room, Jake.
I think kind of just bringing this philosophy to the field team of setting goals, like even with like the labor hours. Okay, your job site has 2,000 hours. Okay, what's your goal for the week? And then how do you achieve that day by day to help them create the daily goals, hit the weekly goal, hit the monthly goal to hit your labor goal.
That's a really good point. So take that, instead of saying, hey, you got 4,000 hours to do this job, I'll see you at the end. Okay, what does that mean this week? What does that mean today? And then when you follow that through all the way down to the day, and that goes back to the point, if we can beat our goals today and we beat our goals tomorrow, and we beat our goals the next day, there's a real good chance we're going to beat our goals for the week. And if we beat our goals this week and we beat our goals next week, goals a week after that, there's a real good chance we're going to beat our goals for the month, and then just keep going. So taking those goals and not only that, but go to them and let them help set the goals. You don't have to always set the goals. You don't have to go out there and tell them you got, so much time to do this. You go to them and say, how much time do you think you need to do this? And we got some good people. They're going to tell you, honestly, I think I can do this in 80 hours. Okay, you got 80 hours. Let's see how you do. And then go back to them and say, here's how you did. Just like we're going to do to Dawn on December 15th with a scale and a radar gun. But that's a good way of doing it. See it all the way through. Don't set a goal for 2 years from now and then wait and see how you did 2 years from now. Check in all the way throughout the process. Brian.
For the company, developer or owner relationship, which will then make the competition none, and the guys in the field would have constant work.
Yeah. And so that's a goal we set with Frank. We said, Frank, how many, in our business development team, we had a very similar meeting like this. We said, how many people do you think you can meet with or bring to this new building by the end of the year? And he says, okay, I think I can get 5 people here. Okay, good goal. We don't know if that's good or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's too low, maybe it's too high. Okay, so his goal is now he's going to try to get 5 people, owners and developers, into the building, see our company firsthand. That's going to result in work. That will be. When there's a human connection, you have a much higher chance of getting that job than when there's not. If all your communications through email, text, the odds of getting that job are slimmer, unless we already have a relationship, than if you have a facial interaction. Okay, back to the board. Jimmy?
Give the field more information on the front end and set expectations.
There you go. Yeah. So give the field more information, which we've talked about, and more time on that handoff, more time on letting them know what we expect, and then set those expectations. Write them down. Here's what we expect. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. Do you agree? Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's go. Let's go get it. And then follow up with them after the fact. It doesn't have to be a bad follow-up, but follow up with them. Setting expectations and not following through on comparing how we did on those expectations is one of the weakest things, one of the signs of a weak manager. And I say that in the most respectful way because I've been on that side of the fence too. But if you tell someone I need to have this done by next Tuesday at noon and 2 weeks from now, no one's talked about it, that's not good management. And everyone in this room and on this call is a manager to some degree. So you're setting expectations as managers should do, and then you have to follow up with them. You have to make sure it's happening. And there has to be an understanding of what happens if it continues to not happen. You either set new goals or set new measurements or something more drastic or more training or something has to happen. There has to be a coincidence, cause and effect. All right, back into the room. I think we got everybody. All right, back to the board. How about Gina?
Okay, so mine would be related to the company. So to set clear, relevant, strategic goals that are understood by all. So kind of along the lines of what Jake shared about man hours, like everyone has a number. So here's our strategic goal. What does that mean for me? What does that mean for anybody in the company so that that's understood by all? And then my task in that is to help oversee the strategic planning and implementation and making it very simple and aligned with what we're already doing, not something extra.
Yeah, exactly. So, and she hit on a good point there. Right now, our goals, our strategy is all going to be aligned with what you're doing. So we're not going to say, okay, your focus is this, and now we're going to have you turn 90 degrees to a different direction. It's really going to be like, your focus is this. We're going to keep you right on that path. This strategy is going to help you get that path or get to that goal. Okay. Grant, Mike, Greg, Brendan Keating.
Yes, I had controlling costs and not forecasting, better estimating on projects, improved estimating. The improved estimating will help with hopefully eliminating change orders as much as possible and making sure that our prices are accurate and controlling those costs, hopefully improves profitability.
Okay. How do you measure improved estimating? You mentioned change orders. What's another way, Brendan?
Profitability.
Okay. Yeah. Higher profitability. What else?
You win more work.
You win more work. Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's one of the best ways to know if you're doing good estimating is if you win more work and the margins are still there.
Gotcha.
Because it's a tricky slope because, we can win every single job we bid. Everybody knows that.
Right.
If we want, we could win every single one. That doesn't mean we're going to be profitable, but we got a lot of work. So it's a real slippery slope. You got to make sure that we're putting out good numbers, that Goldilocks, you're right in that sweet spot, not too high, not too low, just right. Okay. All right. Good exercise. I was hoping for a lot more field goals, so we'll come back to that. And instead of going on to talk about more things, one of the things we're going to talk about is what is a task that will help us achieve that goal, specific task. So when we talk about 0 safety incidents or 105-star reviews, we want to go to a new location, get more equipment. What's the specific task we have to do to accomplish those goals? So think about that. We're going to come back to that. And the next time we get together, we're going to talk more about task and goals. And Gina's going to be working with you. What do we need to do? We set some good goals out here. What do we need to do to make those things happen? And our focus is going to be on ones that are much more like specific or achievable. So if someone says we need 0 safety incidents, we can measure that. We need 100 5-star reviews. We can measure that. So take those measurable goals and come up with ways to measure them. Okay, we'll come back to that. And then one more thing I want to get into, there's 2 ways to improve the profitability of a company. Assuming that all your support costs are fixed, how do you improve the profitability of a company? 2 things you can do, one or the other, and it can be an and or. So you reduce waste. So you take those costs that you have and look through them and say, is there anything in it we don't need to be doing or wasting money on? Or we can
manage your project time,
which is a little bit of reducing waste.
Set more expectations for the people that you have.
Which is a lot to do with, again, waste. Because if it's the same person doing the same task and now they're working at a different pace, well, they were probably not working at the right pace before. Or you're making them more efficient by giving them better direction, better guidance, better expectation. So that's very possible. We get more work. All right. So you can increase your sales. You can reduce your waste. In both cases, the company ends up doing better as a whole. Right now, we have a good support staff that is capable of running twice the amount of work that we're currently completing. What does that mean? We need more work. Our support team should be able to handle $45 million, and let's just round it up and say 48 a year based on what we currently have. We should be able to do $48 million worth of work. How much is that per month? $4 million. We're averaging about 1.5, 1.6. That means we're off. That means we have more capacity. We can do more work. We have to get more work. We have to do more work. That's the bottom line. And we want to reduce waste. So if you see things out there that you see are wasteful or they're unnecessary or you're getting a bill on your credit card for a software you're not using, let us know. Every little bit counts. Every little penny counts. That's the old Annette phrase. Every penny counts. It works both ways, not only in collecting, but in giving. We don't want to waste money. That's what's going to help us. That's what's going to help you. That's going to help this company grow. All right, thanks for joining me. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.